what do we mean by a hybrid event? Well, we're having a hybrid event on right now, which is the online audience plus the on-site participants as well. And Tim's got his ideas on the future of events. And I can see to my right, I can see Tim there, and I think what we're doing, Tim, you are live with us at GIBTM in Abu Dhabi. And I think you should probably be able to hear me in a moment. I'm not sure if he can. He can. I'm getting a thumbs up from the back of the room. So brilliant to see you again, Tim, and to see your slides as well. So everything's working. Isn't this cool? So this is our next remote speaker, who sounds as though he's on a racetrack, actually. We're just picking up a little bit of background noise. Hello. There. That's it. That's just brilliant. That background noise. It sounded like there were a couple of Grand Prix cars going past you there, but sorry. The vacuum cleaner. So Tim, delighted that you can join us. Tim Chapman is the general manager of digital at Staging Connections, based over in Australia, and he and we've been having some conversations recently about hybrid events, where they could be going in the future, and that's really what we've asked Tim to talk about with us today. So again, keep the questions coming in. Use the hashtag ECME14. Post up. Use the Facebook page Event Camp Middle East, and share the love of this particular session by going to the by making sure that you're viewing through bit.ly/event CME 14, and then you'll find us. And I'm getting a nod from the back as well, because I tripped over myself with that yesterday when I was putting that forward. I put an apostrophe in there, which wasn't quite right. So Tim, we're ready for you. Delighted that you can join us. So I'm just going to hand over to you, and then I will come back and we'll have some questions. So over to you.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that. I'll certainly try and leave enough time at the end to talk about the future, my insights, and the questions from the audience, both in the real world and in the virtual world, which, of course, is fantastic. This is actually a hybrid event, so we're loving it being firsthand. Just a little bit about me, and then I'll introduce the company I'm working for. I've come from a video conferencing background, and what that's done is it's really given me an insight and thrill, if you like, of seeing people communicating face to face. Right back 15 plus years ago, when the equipment was large, it was quite bulky, but just being able to connect two remote places in the world and see each other on TV, you know, that at the time it hailed, oh, that will be the last time we ever fly. We both know that never happened, but the face-to-face meeting is still vitally important, and long live the live event. Obviously, Staging Connections that's what we're all about, is providing the audio visual for a live event. But I really see hybrid events as a natural extension. There's always people that can't turn up. There's always people that would love to be there, and being able to be there at a virtual presence. Bear in mind, the content's always the same. You know, if you're live in the room, you're experiencing the human interaction and the the networking, which is really what we miss when we're watching at a hybrid level. And I'll actually discuss that a little bit more in actual statistics of people turning up versus watching in hybrid land. But let's go to the slide deck, and I'll talk about what we'll see today, and certainly the trends that I'm seeing in the hybrid event space. So as Paul mentioned, General Manager of Digital for Staging Connections, and this has been a very conscious decision by Staging Connections to enter into the digital event space, and not just have a strategy, but actually produce a division that goes together and puts the components of what makes up a hybrid event. So with 750 staff across 75 venues throughout Asia Pacific, our core model is that we are the in-house audiovisual company for many five-star hotels and the majority, of course, in our region. And what this does is it gives us a very good insight into the events that are occurring in our venues and what technology is starting to really enhance that event. We'll see a little bit later that there's a lot of technology out there, but unless it really provides a tangible benefit to both the event organizer and, of course, the client, it tends to get lost. So what we're seeing is some good trends on the real products that are helping an event organizer, and then making the client happy because they're getting the engagement and the interactivity that they're after. So yeah, being in-house has really given us some great insight. We're the largest AV company in the region, so we're often the first to market with new technologies. So we're the pioneers in a lot of respect in trying new technology and have actively been promoting hybrid events since 2010. We're actually hailed as one of the most advanced webcasting platforms that we built. When I came on board in 2012, we put together a webcast platform not only to be able to stream live video with slides, but also bring in that interactivity, almost replicate the live experience of what people are doing in the venue, in the room. And we're actually one of the first, well, in Australia, we were the first AV company to sell and promote an event app. We actually went down a path of manufacturing our own, and we soon realised that that area is leapfrogging in technology so quickly. Like the new features that are coming in to event apps these days is almost mind-blowing. So we realised that to stay at the forefront and offer our client the best product, we needed to be with the strength there and go with a global leading app. And very happy to say that Show Gizmo, which you've heard a lot about and is the actual app of this event, we're promoting that app very heavily down here in Australia. So they're a great partner to have. So let's have a quick look now at the next slide, which is what we're going to cover today. And what we'd like to do is look at what the key components are in making up a hybrid event. What challenges have we experienced over the last few years? And that's quite interesting because that has a direct correlation to how quick hybrid event uptake has been. And all different regions are at different stages of IT development and the adoption of hybrid events. And maybe some of our learnings can really assist in helping other regions move forward. The benefits of adding a hybrid component and who are actually the main drivers in the future uptake. We all realise that hybrid events are now here to stay. That the adoption of technology as it gets easier and better priced, we'll see more and more use of it. But what are the main drivers that will get that across the line? And the strategy for mass adoption. We're still, in my opinion, at the infancy in the fact that these technologies are just starting to get used. And a hybrid event isn't necessarily the use of all technology. It is just one component that assists in allowing someone outside the live room to feel a part of that conference. So that can be a webcast, it can be a Skype speaker coming in at one point, it can be an event app, the list goes on. But we want to look at what drives mass adoption. And then we have a bit of fun with a crystal ball. Where do I personally and a lot of my industry peers, where do we feel hybrid events will look like in a few short years? So just before we get on to that, I just wanted to actually do a definition of the hybrid event. And the first definition you see has actually come from Wikipedia. Hybrid event being a trade show, conference, unconference, which you may have heard of more regularly recently, seminar, workshop, or other meeting that combines a live in-person event with a virtual online component. And the staging connections definition, if you like, is extending the reach of a live event to a virtual audience using our digital event services. And quite interestingly, and I'll just hop in and come to you and just talk to you about the next point. Is you may have seen a Toyota Prius on the image there. Well, a hybrid event isn't necessarily a group of people inside a Toyota Prius having a meeting, although it could be. But the reason why that's up there is the first time we actually came across hybrid for a lot of us was in the commercial market when it came to vehicles. And I've got a little bit of an analogy there. Of course, that car is put together with an electric engine and a petrol motor. And what by combining those two together, the car obviously moves forward. Now, if that petrol runs out, it's not over. There's still an electric motor that can drive that car further. And the way I see it is the live people, you in the room in the live venue, you're the petrol of the meeting. You're really pulling it together, driving the wheels of the event. And when you break for lunch and morning tea, you're the one discussing everything. In the virtual world, we're the electric motor, if you like, because we're the hybrid group that's put together longevity of the event. So after the event, there's the on-demand version that keeps going. There's the tweets, there's the social interaction, there's the meeting each other on event apps. And that, as I see it, is the electric part of an event, if you like, where it's not too dissimilar between a hybrid car and a hybrid event. So that's a little area I thought is quite interesting in that it is actually quite similar. So the components. Let's briefly look at what makes up the components. For us, one of the most important things, of course, is webcasting. It's the visual capability of seeing someone live, and of course the slides. But it's also the live chat, the Q&A that can come direct to me as a speaker, the live polling of the audience and asking their response and questions, social media feeds, active links to the sponsors, and of course banner advertising as monetization starts to weigh a heavy part of hybrid events. And one which I think is absolutely vital and it tends to get skipped over at times is the quality audio visual. Obviously, being an AV company, we understand the benefits of correct lighting, a nice background so that someone in a black suit with a black drape just doesn't look like a moving head. Good quality AV, vision switching, microphones that are readily available for Q&A sessions. All these are put together to create a broadcast quality hybrid event. When people first come onto a hybrid event, if they see very scratchy video and the appearance is not of high quality, you'll actually lose a lot of your audience. Whereas if you're looking at cameras that are vision switching, close-ups, nice headshots, going out to a wide pan of the audience, and something that sort of mirrors the television world, then you're more inclined to watch that for a lot longer. And we're really seeing some uptake into the YouTube, Facebook, and corporate YouTube, as I call it, in the fact that that is a very easy way of getting your live message out. And it can also coincide with a product launch or something similar, where if you've got your products and services already on your website, why not iframe into that website and have your live stream? And whilst the people have arrived 5 or 10 minutes earlier, they're exploring your website at the end, they may do the same. If it's on Facebook, they're actually looking at your whole Facebook presence, and it is a very easy way to do live streaming, is to use that medium. And it is a growth factor for sure. Event apps. we've seen them, we've used them. Of course, there's one at Event Camp, and this is such an easy way of connecting with people, seeing who's there. If you're anything like me, before I get there, I want to maximise my time. I want to know which exhibitors, which attendees that I've already messaged to say, love to have a coffee. If it's something of interest, a particular speaker, setting capability so that I know throughout that whole day who I'm going to meet, what exhibitors I'm going to see, and what speaker sessions I'm going to go to. And there's no better way of doing that than an event app, because of course it's dynamic, it's updated, and in our little crystal ball we'll actually look at a few things where I think event apps are going. The live polling, out of any particular product that we have in our hybrid event components, this is our largest growth at the moment, in the fact that people love having their say. We really are embracing and adopting interaction at events. And people come in, they have their say, even if it's just voting on a particular question or an opinion. They've walked away feeling that they've been part of the event. They've managed to actually consider themselves a part of the event rather than just a spectator. And of course, social media feeds. We love those. We're using them today. Photo and video uploads, event displays, and of course, very importantly, moderation. And we've designed at Staging Connections a group of tools that we put together that always have a moderation capability, because we certainly don't want anything going to screen that would detract from the conference. And of course, always trying to keep both the content, the speakers, and the social aspect on trend. Virtual speakers like I am today. Here I am over Skype, all the way in Abu Dhabi from Melbourne. And I don't think there's an easier way. Of course, the commercial side of this is I'm coming to you for free. And that's a well-known fact, that Skype is a readily available tool to be able to come into any environment. So that's certainly the key components. The challenges, and we won't dwell too long on this because a lot of them are being eliminated. The IT infrastructure restraints at the venue and the viewer locations. We all understand bandwidth is getting better over time. Fibre optic and new cable being laid in many areas has meant that you've gone from ADSL now to much higher bandwidths. And we heard yesterday about Wi-Fi and IT challenges. We in Australia, in our region in Asia Pacific, most particularly, we're seeing massive leaps. So a venue, a big hotel, is actually proud of the fact now that they can give you dedicated bandwidth with a big uplink to be able to webcast and produce a hybrid event, along with much larger download capability for event apps and any people actually using their iPads and computers for live streaming. There hasn't been a lot of meaningful education, and this is what Event Camp's all about. We want to get the message out about the technology, but most importantly, how it can benefit. Just talking about the technology is not enough. We need to tell people what the benefits are of that technology. And I open my door at that fact. You know, if you want to email me, I actually have a lot of first-hand experience on being able to teach the benefits of a hybrid event. There's always been a fear that isn't it just one more thing that can go wrong? I don't think so. We've got to a point now where cloud-based technology and certainly the IT infrastructure, we've got past that stage where it's not a wing and a prayer anymore. It's a very much an isolated occasion that something would go wrong at a hybrid level. A lot of people haven't budgeted for it, and that's true. You know, it's their first introduction to hybrid technology. But what we say to them is okay, baby steps, if you like. If you haven't budgeted, at least let's look at just live polling or just using an event app. Or maybe we do an event record and we do it live next year. But it's planting the seed and making sure that the clients and the event organisers understand that this is a growing market and they should be looking at it for, if not this year, certainly for their next event budget. Free venue Wi-Fi. A good colleague yesterday did cover that very well. So it's a fast growing inclusion. It's happy days when I read some of our industry magazines, and all of a sudden a hotel chain has announced that it's free Wi-Fi for the conferences. It's always a woohoo moment when I see that. And I think I'll wait and see if this hybrid thing's really going to take off or gain traction. Well, that's reducing heavily. It has taken off. People are embracing it. And not only have they used it, they're doing it again because it has benefited the event to be able to be watched later. People arriving new into a company, it's almost part of an induction now to watch the previous few events so that they can understand where the company's been and where it's heading. And I certainly, this is probably the next question that I get asked the most out of anything. If I choose to make my event hybrid, will that affect my live attendee numbers? I'm happy to say, after 2 years of research, and there's finally some statistics that have come out over that, and I will read the statistic to you just so I get it absolutely correct. And uh, what's occurred is, of the first-time virtual attendees, 53% indicated that they would be interested in attending the next event in person, and that's vital. In that it's a toe in the water. It's an experience of actually looking at the event for the first time, and they do miss the human interaction. That's why 53% go to the next event, because we go off to a lovely lunch, they go to the fridge, open it up, and exactly the same stuff's in there. So we do enjoy that live interaction, and it's important to know that it doesn't reduce the number of the live attendees, it actually increases it for the following event. So let's look at the benefits. And creating a global reach, of course, is one of the most vital parts. It introduces the attendee, just like we mentioned, so that it's more likely they'll attend the next event in a live. The additional branding opportunities for sponsors and monetization. If there was any benefit that we really needed to put forward, it's the monetization side, in that people now are realizing that we can make money out of a hybrid event. That's a very powerful statement. If you had a webcast sponsor and people paying to watch, you could actually make money from the hybrid component. Interactivity and social media feeds are obviously very important, and the real-time feedback. As I mentioned, they love being able to feel that they've walked away having put some input into the event, even if it's just a live poll. And the database, you've actually got a much larger database at the end of the day, not only the live people, but also the people that have watched at a hybrid level. So the IT challenge has improved rapidly. With better bandwidth, we've got better quality video quality, and we're seeing now throughout the range to the 4K model is pretty much what used to be a standard definition video. For the same bandwidth these days, we now have high definition. So that's really increasing the engagement, because we're starting to watch a much better quality video, and it's only going to get better. As compression gets better, so does the image.
Hi Tim, I'm
For the
just going
same,
to butt in right there. I'm sorry to cut you off in mid-flow, but I think
sure.
what we'd like to do is to take you to full screen, if you don't mind. And
Yes.
just I've got a couple of questions that have been coming in from the online audience, plus also the online participants, and also from people in the room here as well. So. Really great food for thought in all that you said there. I'm a big advocate, as you know, of hybrid events. I think they're really interesting. I was asking some people what the feeling was like of seeing you as a remote speaker. Well, I still don't like that word remote, by the way. It still doesn't make
I'm
us all warm
virtual.
and fuzzy. So I'd change it to
I'm
something else.
virtual.
Haven't kind of got the right word yet. But one of the chaps I was speaking to, he said, yeah, it's a little different, but I'm getting used to it. And I think if we do the kind of questions and answers where we can see you, they can see me, and I can mix that up, I think that seems to have been the real popular trend that we found over the last day and a half of doing event camp here in the Middle East at GIBTM. So that's interesting, and I mean, maybe that's something that we take away as a lesson from this. But one of the questions from our web streaming chap, Martin Shepherdley, who's doing a great job, was all around your point on charging for content. Because
yes,
do we think that because we've got used to the web, there's information on it, it's free, do you actually think that we're going to start seeing more of a charge for information that's on the web? Because if it isn't charged for, then it doesn't have the value. Do you see that coming through in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, well, it's early days in monetization, and the reason for that is that it's at a perceived value, but it's been hard to work out a direct formula on if someone's paying $1,000 to attend the event live, what sort of money do we put on the hybrid component? Because at the end of the day, they're receiving the same content, but just in a virtual world. Yeah. The big thing is the catering, the room hire, all the things that actually go into creating an event for the live individual. There's a lot more inherent cost to having that person in the room. And at a virtual level, the difficulty is you don't want to make it too cheap, because then you will actually affect the experience of the people saying, oh, well, if it's only 1/10 of the price of the live event, then maybe that's not enough money. It needs to be half the price or 25%. So what I'm seeing is various different types of events having a play with the monetization side. A real world example is a government department. Because the content was so pertinent to a particular part of the Australian government, the room was full. It had sold out, and they actually went to market with what I thought at the time, quite an expensive price to view the content over the 2-day symposium. The uptake was excellent, and they made a lot of money on the hybrid component.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you for that. I'm just picking up Marie-Claire Andrews has just come on, as we know, from Show Gizmo, and she's just tweeted in to say 53% of first-time virtual attendees. So she's picked up on what you were saying about people looking at an event and enjoying it online and then deciding they're going to go and see the real live event later on, and that's been our experience as well. And she agrees with me as well that we do need a better word for remote speakers, and she's saying there's ain't nothing remote about Tim, which is really quite nice. So yeah, it's very true as well. But you are with us in the room here in Abu Dhabi at GIBTM. We're in the middle of the show floor. You're also around the globe, and long after today, the content will be circulated so that people can come in and ask questions. What would be the best way that people could contact you with any further questions? I know they can go through the Show Gizmo app, but if they want to email you directly, is that okay? Twitter handle?
Yes.
What's your best means?
Yeah, email's great, because I've got all the tools of my trade in the office. I can cut and paste various bits out of articles and things depending on the question. So the last page of my presentation, and I'm imagining you'll make that available to all the viewers.
Oh, we certainly will, yeah.
Has my email address on it, tim.chapman@scgl.com.au. So
yeah.
If you want to contact me directly, I'm very happy to discuss the content that we've covered today.
No,
Did you want a 30-second crystal ball on where we're going to go?
A 30-second crystal ball. Yeah, I'm getting lots of nods from the audience here. They want to know 30 seconds of what you see in the crystal ball, Tim. That'll be great.
All right, well, I'll
yeah, apparently they've got their devices out here, Tim. They're going to time you as well, so no pressure, eh?
I'll just go back to my slide very quickly, and then I'll finish off full screen head again. So
yeah, that'll be fabulous. So you're not remote at all. You're there. We can see you.
That's right. Just as I'm getting to that slide, it's the younger generation that's really going to push this, and things like Event Camp, and of course the AV companies like Staging Connections that are constantly talking about hybrid events and the components. So let's do the 30 seconds.
The 30 seconds, right. Megan McLeod, I have to tell you, I don't know if you know Megan, but she's definitely got the stopwatch out right now. So
Okay. Google Glass, we've heard about it. What's it going to do for us? For me, it's the easy check-in. When you arrive at an event, it's just like a zzz, scanned, in you go. But also, whilst in the event, captions for hard of hearing. You could see the slides internally, and also translation into many languages. Once you're at a networking function, you could push, gather, or transfer information. That could be your LinkedIn profiles and such like. Smartwatches are interesting to me because it is a connected device, but because the real estate's so small, it's going to be difficult to know where that's going to find its niche. Certainly as a video recorder and playback device, I could see slides on the watch, but also event apps and the ability to do live polling. It is a connected device, no doubt. So some people argue with me, well, if you've got a smartwatch and a smartphone, the smartphone's got a bigger screen, why wouldn't you use that? So we'll see where that ends up, but we will definitely be video conferencing each other on a watch. I know that's going to happen. iBeacons, and I don't want to steal Show Gizmo's thunder, but we're so excited about that. In the fact that Show Gizmo is the first event app to actually have an iBeacon as part of it. And that, of course, means that as I'm walking through an exhibition, I've already done my business matchmaking. I want to hear about event apps and webcasting. As I walk past an exhibitor, they're going to push me that info. And to finish, WebRTC is probably the biggest game changer in our industry. And what WebRTC is it actually allows us to communicate with each other face-to-face on a web application or a website. So that's going to be a big game changer for us.
Brilliant. Tim Chapman from Staging Connections over in Australia, we thank you for joining us at Event Camp Middle East 2014, coming live from GIBTM at Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre. Thank you so much. And you're getting a big round of applause from the crowd here. Well,
thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. I can hear it all the way from Melbourne.
So that was Tim Chapman. He was our speaker this morning on the future of hybrid events. Do stay with us because come back to us actually at 3 o'clock this afternoon, Abu Dhabi time. We've got Graham Jones. He's going to be talking about social media tools and how you can use those to build your community. Straight after him, we've got Brand Kruger, who's talking about tech trends and event technology, and he is a mine of information, just as Graham is on his subject. And then we've got another massive subject matter expert who is Ian Brodie, and he's going to be talking about engagement and what we can do with some of the content that's been created to keep the conversation going. So 3 speakers all lined up, again being beamed in from different parts of the globe, which is fantastic. So keep following us, keep making your comments. It's great to see them come on a Twitter stream, hashtag ECME14. And if you go to the Facebook page, it's Event Camp Middle East, Event Camp Middle East actually on Facebook. And Instagram, anything you put on there, again, use the hashtag ECME14, and then that will appear in the stream. My thanks again this morning to Martin Shepherdley from Be There Global, from making the streaming, taking the content outside of this room, and to Anton from Newman and Muller, who are doing all the audio visual for us at the back of the room here, making sure this all works and sounds great, and it does. And to Dr. Alexandra Kenyon, even if I put my teeth in, who was talking with us earlier about the future of events, and she got a lot of discussion. So keep on sending your questions in. Make sure that you do spread the love, and to view any of this, go to bit.ly/ly/event CME14, and that's where you'll be able to show other people exactly what you're tuning into. But join the conversation, use the Show Gizmo apps, and then you will have everything in the same space, and that could be a good way of retrieving information after this event. So my name, Paul Cook from Planet Beers, and I'm just signing off now to make way for a conference that's coming in here for an hour or so, and then but we will be back to you from this very spot at 3 o'clock Abu Dhabi time this afternoon, 25th of March. Thanks for now.